demonstration, as you hear, witness, potentially feel, I hope feel, is to be aware of what's coming up for you. What are you learning? What are you noticing? What is perhaps working well? Perhaps what could be done even better? And I know that Damien appreciates an appreciative perspective on the observation. So again, inviting you to pay attention to perhaps what's happening in your own body, or the emotions that might be coming up as we go through this demonstration. So that's my invitation to each one of you. So we'll do the demonstration for about 30 minutes. That's what we'll be aiming for. And we might do a little bit of unpacking, but if not, because I'm aware that we'll have a break at the top of the hour. So if we don't get an opportunity to do a little bit of unpacking, then we'll come back and start to do that when we return. So I think we're ready to begin, unless there's any questions that are coming up. We're all good to go. Maybe if I see a thumbs up or a heart, whatever it may be. Great. Thank you, everybody. So Laura and I will keep our cameras on, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. Oh, we've got one more person that has just popped in, and then I need to lock the room. I'm wondering, Laura, or if anyone knows how to lock the room, because I've never done that before.
But Bruce is from our cohort. Yes. I don't know how to lock the room.
I think I need to give permission for people to come in anyway, so that's okay. I'm trusting remain locked. And welcome, Bruce, and thank you for being here. We are just about to start hi, Bruce. We're just about to start our demonstration, so thank you for showing yourself. And Bruce, for your information, we're recording and recording the whole session. So it's just being aware of that in case we need to perhaps take something out of the recording or not let the recording go. So just for your information. So Laura, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
I might put you on spotlight if that's okay.
Okay.
Now before we do that, we've got Francisco Nasta in the waiting room.
She's from our cohort as well.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll let him in as well. And hopefully he will come in. Yes, Anne.
Forgive me because I'm not part of your cohort. I'm just wondering, it looks like I'm guessing you're not normally with this group and you don't know the other members of the cohort. So correct. I'm wondering if it might be helpful for you to make another person co-host. If they recognize a cohort coming in, they can let them in, because looks like you're going to be supervising, just offering that as a possibility. So the rest of the cohort doesn't get locked out. Just a thought.
Thank you, Anne. What I'm going to do, because we're starting to do supervision now, we'll lock the room to anyone. Yeah, so there's no interruption.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Anne. And welcome, Francisco. I hope I said that correctly. Sorry, you're on mute.
I'm deeply sorry. I had some difficulties getting into the office today due to the heavy traffic in the Mexico City chaos on this season. But I'm here now, ready to involve me in this session. So here I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Francisco, appreciate you being here. So we're about to start our demonstration, and thank you, Deborah, for saying that the where the lock-in is. I'm going to just assume now that because I can let people in, no one else will come in. Francisco, if you wouldn't mind turning off your camera, that would be appreciated. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm going to spotlight Laura and myself. Where is my, there's my spotlight. So let us begin. So Laura, I know that we met yesterday, and I'll, for the purpose of everyone here at the moment, maybe you might want to share perhaps what came out of that, if anything, that you'd like to share with the group.
Well, we already did our contracting, so we agreed that it was going to be a safe environment. I told you kind of in general what was the case I was bringing in today, but not in so many detail. And just for me, this is a safe environment, and I trust all my people in the cohort and everyone who is in Damien's team, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. It was great to meet with you to look at the ways of working together. And of course, I trust and appreciate now that we're here and we've got several eyes with us right now. I'm wondering what else might be important to put in place that will, again, make this a safe place for us to work in.
No, I'm fine. I'm ready to work. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I notice right now as we've come here, I just noticed quite a strong heartbeat that came through here. I'm guessing some nerves that are sitting here right now. So as I share that, I wonder how you're coming into our session today.
I was, before we started right now, this supervision, I was much calmer, but now I'm a little bit nervous, you know, my heart is also beating fast, and it's like, I'm a little bit like anxious and nervous, but it's just the beginning, I know.
So I'm wondering what we might need to do to support us to come into presence. And I know we talked about breaths yesterday, but I'm wondering if something else is coming up for you to support us both to come into presence.
I think a couple of deep breaths will help to slow down.
Yeah. So I'll do that with you.
Yeah. Okay.
So Laura, what is it that you'd like to bring into supervision today?
Well, I have this case. I told you yesterday that is challenging for me. He's my client. He's a new client. I met him 2 months ago. We already had 6 sessions. I was recommended by someone that doesn't know me in person to work with him. That's interesting, because she said, I have this client that he's a very successful businessman. Do you know, she asked in a coaching community, do you know who will have the coaching experience to work with this man? And they said, call Laura. And then she called me, and I said, how do you know? I will be good for him. And she said, because everyone said your name. So I was having a meeting first with her to know a little bit, just a little, about what does he do. I always say, I don't like to spoil, you know, my experience, my first experience of my clients. So I said, don't tell me much about him, because I don't want to spoil my first experience. And you know, I don't Google people. I don't find out who they are. It's just, I don't want to bring noises into my experience. So we had a meeting with him afterwards, where because I always say, okay, I would like to meet him and know if what he wants to do is for coaching. Maybe it's another methodology. So we agreed it was for coaching. And this was a Zoom meeting, and our first meeting was in person. So as I told you before, this is we already had 6 sessions. For me, he would be the one I would say, I wouldn't bring this case to supervision, you know, because it's challenging. It's client I don't feel 100% comfortable with. And I wonder what's going on with me. That's why I thought to come to volunteer for supervision. What's going on to me as a coach? What's going on? What am I experiencing? What is behind everything I do? He's happy with the sessions. He's happy with the results. He's hiring me after coming back from the World Cup and the New Year and everything to work with his team. But it's like, I know I'm not at my 100%. I'm just being careful, you know, like in this fine line of, I don't know if wanted to be nice. I don't know. This is what I want to explore today.
Yeah, thank you for sharing what your client and what's coming in for you. And I noticed as you were sharing that I felt a little bit more tightness in my chest as you were sharing about this client. And I'm wondering what is it that you might be noticing and how that informs about what you want to explore today.
Maybe that has to do with authenticity a little, you know, with forgetting about looking good and being really myself in the way I coach. It's like I'm still not 100% in as a coach. I'm like observing this. So I'm listening a lot, all the explanation he gives about his business, about his people, about what he does. He walks a lot during the session. He writes in a whiteboard, you know, and he loves explaining and showing me all his computers and data and everything he has. It's like he's all over the place on his side of the desk. I'm on the other side. And I'm like, you know, watching someone entertaining, you know, that feeling, and saying, I'm waiting for my turn to intervene, you know, like, okay, I get the showing off. I have to wait for, you know, and I feel like even though I'm fine with the relationship with him, it's like, I know I'm not at 100% of what I would do. Every time I leave, I'm left with this feeling that, you know, it's like, why did you wait so long? Why did you did this? You know, I'm like questioning myself.
Yeah. Interesting that you say that you're questioning yourself, because I can hear myself questioning myself about where to, or what to ask next, or what to share next. I'm noticing your physiology. I feel like I'm on this, do I go this way or do I go that way? I'm hearing authenticity, I'm hearing niceness, I'm hearing, it sounds like challenging, I'm making that up. And so, yes, I'm on, and I want to ask you, you know, what is it that you want to appreciate by the end of our session today? So I'm teetering on these two different things, getting curious about what you're noticing or asking that question. So as I share that, I'm wondering what's coming up for you, as I just saw you looking up then.
Well, by the end of the session, what I would like to really come up with is what's going on with me, you know, and maybe not being stuck in the word challenge, maybe opening up some other options that put me in a different place. I don't want to be in an either or position by the end of this session. I want to, you know, have lots of options on you can show up, I don't know, however you want. And it's not about the way you show up, it's about who you're being with him in the session. So I think right now I'm like you said, you know, every session I'm like, okay, let's see what he come up with. Let's see. And what I would like to get by the end of the session is like an awareness of, you don't need to make a decision on how you want to show up. Just show up, you know? Why are you stepping back on the way you show up? Show up. That's what I would say to anyone, you know?
Yeah. So I'm hearing you want to be aware of how you want to show up, and just show up. Just show up.
Show up. Yeah.
You know, when you said that, oh gosh, I got a real surge of energy.
Yeah.
When you said that, and potentially with the word that pops in is authenticity. And so, and you said, yeah, I'm wondering what you're saying yeah to.
Yeah, it's when I said show up, I felt a huge release. It's like, let go of whatever, you know, judgment you have or whatever you are thinking. It's like overthinking, and then being there already before starting the session, overwhelmed by, okay, what is going to happen today? I don't know what's going to happen. I work with clients all the time. And so I'm like distracted by everything, every information he's giving all the time. And my own information, like, okay, so I have too many things I could work with. And I feel I'm not showing up. I'm just picking up something to work on, picking up, you know, and waiting for my moment. So that is what I feel I'm not authentic. It's like, why am I being so careful? Why am I being so smooth? You know, I don't see myself as a coach in that style.
So, and again, I'm observing and feeling all of this movement that comes in, you know, and I feel like I want to do the same, and almost like a dance.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, where would you like to explore now, Laura? What would serve and support you?
Well, there's something about, because we are learning supervision, I could not separe what we are learning from my own supervision sessions. So while I was thinking of the session today, I was going through all the documents I have, you know, every session I write down, I take my notes to keep track of the process. And on our contract, on our coaching agreement, he said that he wants to develop his people and to make them grow, because he's like a father with a lot of children. He didn't say that. I said it to him. I said, what does this relationship look like? Because he said, my work is keeping the agenda for everyone. Like when your children go to school and they write the notes in the notebook for the parents, that is my job. And I was like, there's something like this powerful man, businessman with 5 companies, he's taking the agenda. It was like, and it was, all the energy was put on his people and their development. And I took my first risk and told him, what about you? Because do they have the space to do that? It looks like you are in charge and you are doing everything. You are the brain and they are the muscle. So are you willing to let go of that? So I cannot say that he doesn't do his homework between sessions. He's really like noticing his way of relating. We did an evaluation of the relationships he has with his team. And in our next session that is going to be in January, he's going to bring all his team together for the first time. And he asked them to make their business plans for each unit of the business. But there's something about the relationship that I was like trying to relate to, was like the father with the children, you know, like he's a big father with a lot of children and they behave like children. And I was thinking about myself with him. How am I behaving? And how am I behaving? I don't know. I don't know.
And it's a great question that you ask of yourself. And I'm also hearing it's unclear.
Yeah.
How am I being? So I'm wondering, as you've shared what you have about him, this man that takes responsibility and takes on the responsibility of his people. And I noticed that as you were sharing that, there was quite a response to that as you shared it. I'm wondering what was happening inside of you.
In that moment, in the session,
yeah, in that moment in the session,
I felt an urge to like defend the dignity of those people. You know, was like, why don't you let them do their job? Why are you taking over? Because if you want to grow, they need to grow. And there's something very curious. I was reading. Alexa woke up. I don't know why. Alexa, stop.
Oh, is that Alexa?
Look, but this is incredible. It will stop.
I'm wondering what that has to do with. Yeah.
Every time I talk to him about this, he changes the subject. So he's kind of present here. He knows. But what I was saying was this urge to, you know, these people are not children. They are you willing to let them do what they want to do? And I was telling you this, all of them work with him for 20 years. They were with him since the beginning of the company, 20 years ago. And the only one that grew a lot, expanded, it's him. They continue to do the same. And he's telling them what to do.
Yeah.
For 20 years. And another interesting thing about the company, it's like his brother works with him. There's a lot of family, you know, husbands and wives, cousins. There's a lot of family in there, not only his family, but, you know, as if I work with my husband and I bring him into the company and then I have a brother, why did you bring him? It's like, he's like a great, I don't know, it's like a great family, I don't know. But he's a big boss in a way.
Yeah.
protecting them. And he says, I'm really good with my clients. I'm a really, really good, I'm a really, really good partner of my clients. I am not so good with my providers. I press them a lot in order to satisfy my clients.
Sorry, I missed that word that you used, Laura. You something a lot.
I push them, put pressure on them.
And this is which people are you putting pressure on?
The providers. He creates something, a product, you know? So he has the clients to whom he sells the product, and then he has the providers that give him the pieces, the components of this product. So in order to build whatever he's hired to build, he has to make the deal between what is the client willing to pay, and then go on with the providers and have this negotiation where he says he's pushing very hard. And yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Sorry, my internet is a bit unstable today, so I lost a little bit of what you shared. So thank you for clarifying. I'm wondering what's happening, because I noticed that you felt within you this, you're putting so much pressure on others. And so I kind of heard a part of you that came out here. You know, it sounded like, in terms of the parent, in terms of the children, I could hear the parent coming in. Maybe there's a parallel there, maybe not. I'm wondering what comes up for you as you nod.
When he told me the way he was treating his providers, I got scared, because I said, I'm also a provider. You are hiring me as a service, and you're telling me that it's like you push them to the limit in order to get what you want. So in that moment, I said, I'm also a provider. And, I thought about that. And if it was another client, I would have said, I'm your provider. So what's going to happen with me? And I didn't do that.
So what's coming up for you now, knowing that you didn't do it, you held yourself back? And what I've been sensing is this sort of this balance. It's almost like a balance on a fence. That's the metaphor that comes up. I'm wondering what's coming up for you now.
I can recall that I was scared. And I probably went into more like the child mode in that moment, but I feel like I shift places in the session. So when I feel bold enough to challenge, I do that. And it's like, I feel I recovered myself, and I'm not struggling inside me to look like something I'm not. It's like, I wait. It's like waiting for my turn. And then when I get my turn, it's like, okay, you have your 5-minute chance, do what you have to do. So I just do whatever. And in that moment, I feel a certain relief, like, oh, thank you for letting me open my mouth. It's like I have my own internal struggle, like, thank you for letting me speak. There's nothing wrong with it. Instead of being there sitting like, okay, I get it. I understand everything you're showing me, your charts, you walking around, distracting. So it's this kind of shifting places in the same session that I don't know if he perceives it, but I surely perceive it in myself, that like I'm shifting roles all the time.
Yeah. And how is that supporting you, shifting roles? with this client all the time?
I think I'm just staying with the part of the role that really makes the difference in the session. And the other one, it's like, if I had to evaluate myself, I would say, why did you do this? And why did you do that? And why didn't you interact? You know, sometimes it's like, okay, stop it. I have enough information. Let's work. And it's like, okay, I'm just listening. And, you know, he's doing his performance, like showing up everything, you know?
Yeah.
And
so I'm hearing again that energy to want to change this. So I'm wondering, what does the system that you and your client and the providers are in, what is the system calling for you as a coach to support the whole system?
I don't know. I wonder, what will his team think that they were asked to present a business plan for the first time? If they will feel it as a threat, or if they will take it as an opportunity. I don't know. Maybe they feel comfortable working like this. And I am the one thinking, what if this changes? But that's what he told me, you know, I didn't make that up. He said, I want to develop my people, and I want to be the kind of leader that stops controlling and, you know, making the agenda for everyone, and dedicate myself to do other things. So that's part of my coaching agreement. So I know I didn't make that up, and that it's in my contract. I don't know what they will feel, and that will be, I guess, part of my challenge to work with them as a team.
With all of this awareness that you have about your contract with this client, and again, I'm trusting with you, Laura, you're getting a sense of the people that are within this team, and with all of this awareness that you've also shared in terms of how you are showing up in different ways. Sometimes it's you've got the ability to speak up, and sometimes you hold yourself back like a child. That's what I believe I heard. And so again, I get this sense that you're on this fence of, do I dive in, or do I hold myself back and please? Do I dive in and do the work that I'm called to do, or do I try and appease? That's what I'm hearing that you've shared. And so, yeah, I'm just noticing your physiology. There seems to be something coming up. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, as you said that, I said, maybe that's what his employees are thinking. Can we challenge this guy and be who we want to be, or do we please him? Can we be ourselves at our full potential, or do we please them? It's interesting because one of the things he said, I like to please my clients. And that's the word he said. I like to please my clients. So I'm doing big businesses, big businesses. So for example, I never talk about business with them. I just, for example, take them on a trip to, you know, London, and I take them to the technology, I don't know, there's a big technology show there. So he takes them there, and afterward he takes them to the theater, and afterwards he takes them to the hotel where the queen used to have tea. And he said, I'm just relating. And afterwards, I send my people for business. But how can they say no if I please them so much? And I feel, in a way, now that we are talking about this, inside that, that kind of transaction where, he's very welcoming and he's very charming. And so why do I have to go into this deal? I would say, now that we are reflecting, maybe I choose no exchange with him, no transaction. This is my role as your coach, and you are the client, and I'm here for your results. And you don't need to please me, and I don't need to please you, because coaching is not about pleasing. And that is a huge place to be right now. It's that's a big discovery for me right now. Coaching is not about pleasing. It's not in the transaction. This is not a transaction. And I feel I was like uncomfortable, because in a way, I was creating a transaction. I don't know why, but this gives me a lot of freedom. Like, not because you are paying me, I am going to please you.
Wow.
I'm on the other side of the fence right now.
What's it like to be on the other side of the fence now that we're perhaps wrapping up? What's it like to be there?
It's like I get to choose, this is not the way I want to relate. I'm not coming in here to fix your people. I'm not coming in here to do what you want me to do. I'm not a provider who is lowering the price in order to get what you want for the client. I'm your coach. If you want this kind of relationship, if not, you can find another person that will do other work and please you. That's not me.
And how does that feel for you? I mean, I'm noticing freedom in my heart.
I feel I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back. It's like the same as show up. When I said show up, okay, this was in showing up. I wouldn't thought about this, but it's like it has a lot to do with that part of me saying show up, show up, show up. It's like, this is not a transaction. This is coaching.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the way it works, you don't need to have a coach. It's fine. We are fine. But I'm not like obliged to be in this kind of, like measuring and what, is it the right moment to ask this question? When do I jump in? That's not myself at all.
So again, I get a real sense of groundedness and power as you're sharing right now, as you're leaning in.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate what you've shared just now, Laura. And so I'm mindful that we need to start wrapping up. So I want to ask you, how are we doing with your goal of about understanding who am I being?
Well, it's I always say that I continue the supervision session after the supervision session ends, but the first hint I would say, it's much more, this seeing this relationship, it's much more than what I was expecting. It's a bigger context than, I think that I was expecting something much more, focused on but this is about a context of relating, and it gives me a lot of options, you know. So that's really good. That's, yeah, it feels very good.
Fantastic, Laura. And as you share, I get a real sense of your power, and that clarity of how you show up. And I could be making that up, but that's the sense that I'm getting. I'm getting a sense that this is about, again, going back to your contracting with him, and this is how I work. This is how I show up. Something like that. And I'm making that up for you. I'm aware.
And I would add one more thing to that, and also my own contracting with me. It's not about only the relationship with him, it's what are you doing? What are you getting into? Because it's my choice again to go in the transactional mode, you know? So this is why are you doing this? You don't need to do that. Not in the coaching relationship.
Mm.
So 2 things to work on, outside and inside, a lot.
Yeah. Beautiful, Laura. How would you like to finish up our session today?
Oh, thank you. I would like to thank you with gratitude for taking me into this reflection and this learning and this space. I was nervous at the beginning, but right now it's like I feel a huge relief, you know, and I want to thank you and all the people that is being part of this session, because I really feel I could express whatever came to my mind without being careful. That's so good. Yeah. Thank you, Jeanine. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I love that last piece. It seemed to be a parallel in what was happening with your case, and thank you for bringing in your gift of this case and this client that you've been working with. Appreciate him and appreciate you for showing up so courageously and openly. Thank you so much for being willing to explore.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
again.
you very much. Thank you.
And
Great
I too. Yes, I too have learned from you as well. So thank you. Let's bring everybody back in, and I'll take the spotlights off. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for supporting Laura in the case that she brought in. So I recognize, I wasn't sure what time I started. I thought it was around 25 past. I could be wrong. So it was perhaps around 35 minutes, 40 minutes perhaps. So it's coming up to the top of the hour. Thank you for some of the comments I'm seeing. So we'll have a 5-minute break, and then when we
we're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. Can we debrief and then a break?
It's up to the group.
That's my 2 cents, but we can take a break.
So we'll have a 5-minute break. Hold your thoughts, journal, whatever you need to. And thank you again, Laura. And we will see you in 5 minutes.
Thank you all.
4 minutes past. See you soon.
Okay.
start the recording. Thank you for coming back on time. And so perhaps we could start first and foremost with Laura sharing your experience, what that was like for you. And then I might share a little bit about what that was like for me. And then we'll pop you into breakout rooms to reflect on a couple of questions. And then we'll come back and we'll unpack it. We'll unpack it all together. So, Laura, thank you again. And what would you like to share about that process? What came up for you?
Well, I took my notes afterwards, quick notes. Like, I don't want this to go away because I will have to remind it. But for me, in these 5 minutes, what I could process is like, I could finally put in words this bunch of feelings of being uncomfortable and not showing up authentically, this internal struggle that I was like, I'm not feeling myself. And, you know, why am I doing this? Why is it so strange? Why is it so? And what I write down was, you don't have to please. This is not a transaction. You are the coach inside the coaching relationship. Show up. It's not a transaction. You are not being paid to please. So these are, you know, fast notes that I could write down, like a reminder, because I think that it's not only for this case, it's for a lot of things that, you know, for me, it's a very powerful message. You don't have to please. You know,
Yeah.
It's great,
Fantastic.
great finding, great, amazing, huge.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And that, you know, when you share that, it sounds like you're able to then really step into your authentic self and authentic way of being. And I'm wondering, Laura, what was the process like for you? What, if anything, you can recall? Hopefully you were doing lots of internal processing, but I'm wondering what it is that you might be able to share about the process.
At the beginning, I was very nervous. And I even find pleasing there. It's like, would this client be happy that I'm talking about him? Maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe we're not going to share this recording. I was filled with, you know, a bunch of stuff and noise. And I said, I'm not breaking any rule. I'm not saying any names. I'm not talking about the company. I'm not giving any specifics of the process. This could be any client, you know. So I let that go. And then I was like, while you were asking me the questions, I couldn't help relating them to the eyes, you know, to the 7 eyes. I was like, okay, so we're jumping from one place to the other. But my experience was, it was so smooth, you know, the way the conversation was being created and co-created, like you had your experience, and when you share your experience with me, it opened up spaces for me to look at the thing about being standing on a fence and the body sensations that went with that. And you know, I could see him while we were talking, like he was walking around, you know, like he always does. And it felt really, it's a new sensation for me. It's something new. So I was like in awe for everything that I felt was moving. It was not only the information I was bringing, it was much more than that. I felt like something much bigger than that was in movement, you know, being transformed in a way.
Mm.
And that was, and I thought, I'm saying so many things. I'm talking so much. Where am I going? And I said, just let go. It doesn't matter. Where are you going? I don't care. Where are you going? I don't know. Let's see. We'll find out. By the end of the session, we'll find out. So, and everything was so synchronic. Like, you know, at the beginning was a bunch of stuff. And then it started like coming to a place where suddenly it's about pleasing. It's about, and now I can recall so many examples. It's like I'm still staying with the feeling that a lot of information is coming, you know, it's like being released for me. This was a transaction, this was a transaction, this other thing was a transaction, this, it's like, and I, in the experience of being his coach, I was ignoring how much weight that information had, you know, and now I say the things that I was ignoring or living into a place, into a small place, were not that small, you know. So there are so many details that now have so much sense, that I was saying, okay, it was just a detail. It was just like, okay, focus on what you're doing. And it's not only about what I did. It was a transaction mode that I find expressed in so many places now. So it's like bringing everything we've been reading about, everything we've been talking about, everything. It's like, now you're experiencing it. And for me, when I experience, it's like, now it's inside. I have it. I can see it. And it's, oh, wow. I'm like, I hope it was useful for everyone.
I'm trusting it was. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. And you know, I trust that everything that we bring in is there's always learning from everything that is shared and brought in, questions asked, insights shared. So, you know, I'm really trusting that. And I really appreciate what you've shared just now, Laura. And, you know, we could hear potentially what was happening inside as well as the process. So, and I really appreciated that. And as I'm sure others did too, the way that you allowed yourself to just be there, just go in and explore. There was part of the mind working, oh, that's an I, but also letting go and exploring. So to find those ahas for you, that's what I heard. That's what I think I heard.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, and I guess a little bit from my perspective, gosh, there was so much rich information that Laura was sharing in terms of, and what I was also experiencing. There was just so much for me that was coming in at so many different types of roads and questions that could be asked. And so just by staying present with Laura as much as possible, I felt helped support me to ask a question that I hoped would open up. So you might have heard me say, I'm at this point of, I want to dive in there, but I also want to ask this question. So I'm on this fence, where do I go? So attempting to show metaphors in supervision. I know that Damien was very keen, and I'm sure you heard this too. He really wanted me to focus on eyes 5, 6, and 7. So there was certainly some 5 and 6, and there was a little bit of 7 from my perspective. But I think what I might do is pop you into breakout groups to potentially discover what those eyes were, what those questions were. So in your breakout rooms, what I'd love you to explore is What did you learn? What was working well? What did you notice about yourself? What was coming up for you as you heard the demonstration? So there's quite a couple of questions. Maybe what are the eyes? What were the eyes that I used? And how did they land? So now you may not get time to answer all of those questions. Whatever you discuss in your groups in relation to the learning is the most important thing. And so when you come back, then we'll unpack, and I'm sure there'll be questions. So it'll be an opportunity to ask questions as well. So is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I've popped you into groups of 2 or 3, and Laura, let me see, where are you? Laura, are you happy to be in a group?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'll just make sure that you are in a group of 3. No, not yet. Let me just change that. There we go. So Laura, you'll be in a room of 3. So if you want to hold back a little bit,